Thank you. And as you heard, we have our congressman here today. He's home from the trenches, the front line, and I think he looks really overjoyed to be back home, personally. Congressman George Latimer, Commissioner of HCR Ruth Ann Visnoskas, and I want to thank Ruth Ann. Where are you, Ruth Ann? Oh, Ruth Ann. We just took a tour of an incredible project I'll talk about, but she probably got delayed with that. But also my partner in government in Albany, a great friend, Andre Stewart Cousins, the leader of the Senate. And our county executive is here, Ken Jenkins. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And my partners in the legislature, Ruth Ann, who's got the nicest shout out. She's probably out there building another house. But we have our Senator Shelley Mayer has joined us. Senator Mayer, Assemblymember Steve Otis, Assemblymember Nader Sayed, Assemblymember Mary Jane Shimsky. And again, thank you to all of our local elected officials as a former local official myself. I just had the most extraordinary experience. Now, you have to be in government to get really excited about what I get excited about. You know, who gets more excited about housing construction projects than a governor or a mayor or a local official? But we just took a tour of the Stella Apartments right down the street, and what a beautiful place to call home. We met a woman who's just so overjoyed, Denise, to show us her apartment, and life-changing for people, life-changing. And the joy in her face when she could look out at her apartment and, you know, point to the beautiful sound, and a lot of fog today, really didn't look that great today, but I know it's there. And she just talked about what it's like to live in a place. And this is, you know, mixed use. It's 25% affordable, it's 75% market, but you would never know all the apartments are identical. The amenities are identical. Like, so she feels like she has the dignity that so many people are wanting for. And that is what drives us as we focus on ways to build more housing in the state, to give everyone that sense of value that comes from having a home that's yours. And so I just had the best morning. For me, that's as good as it gets. Beautiful place. And then we're also talking about, and I was walking with the mayor. What a great mayor you have here, by the way. I just love her. The mayor of New Rochelle, Ramos Herbert, just, you're going to be hearing from her after I speak, but I can see leadership, you know, just exuding from this woman who's so passionate about what she does. And we talked about how, you know, what also makes a difference is not just the rentals, but to build condos. Because when you can start allowing people the opportunity to create generational wealth, that's not just taking that rent check and throwing it out the window every single month for years and years, maybe your whole life. When you can put it into a home that's yours and creates equity and value, that's next level greatness. And I want to make sure that that is available to everyone as well. So that's what we're doing here. Mayor, you're doing that right here. And it's right in the heart of downtown. This is a wonderful downtown. Yes. This is an extraordinary downtown. And it's got just a short walking distance from Metro North. We call this transit-oriented development. And so many people hear that. It's like, oh no, not transit-oriented development. Come see what it looks like. It just makes all the sense in the world. You have to wonder why it wasn't done from the very beginning. Why weren't we doing this all along? Why is there a parking lot there? Now, parking lots are important, but so is housing. And we can have the combination of the right mix. And so we built that with $150 million of state funding. It's a shining example of New Rochelle's ambitious plan and vision that's brilliant. And I'm going to make sure I take her all over the state and tell everybody else to do the same. And you know, as I said, I could see that, you know, I know why we do what we do. And sometimes you don't always see the results of policies that are hard fought. I've made housing the cornerstone of my agenda 4 years ago. When people says, don't talk about housing, it's kind of, you know, people don't want it, they don't want it, you can't make them do it. Okay, we're going to try. We're going to try hard. And I work with the legislature and the leaders to come up with what is now known as the most transformational housing policies in 50 years. And I want to thank everyone who was involved in that. It was hard fought. And I have the scars to show for it. But they were worth it. They were worth it. And I said we have to challenge the status quo. Just shake things up when you're in government, or else why are you taking up space in these jobs if you're not willing to do that? And that's how I believe my job is all about. I don't mind taking the slings and arrows for a worthy cause. And sometimes you just also look at the red tape. Like, why is there so much red tape? What does that red tape do? You know, why is it standing in the way of building more housing? And so we've had to do a lot. And what we did in the process, by questioning the underlying premise of where we were now and why we aren't doing better and pushing that, we've now rescued 71,000 homes and cleared the way for 350,000 new homes statewide that otherwise would not have been there. And local governments are starting to step up. I find there's been a sea change in how local governments feel about Albany's partnership and encouraging them and providing the resources to build more housing. It is extraordinary. And you know we had to do this. Back in 2023, they all said, all right, just give us more carrots, right? Carrots. And I did a press conference and I said, don't give me those little bag of carrots, those little cheesy ones. You just kind of wonder, they made in a factory or something. I want those big ones, you know, the ones with the big green stalk on them, those big guys that are hanging down there. I did a press conference and held them up and said, you wanted carrots? I'm giving you carrots. And now it's $750 million worth of carrots that we're giving to communities to build like they never did before. Because what happened was, at first, I just tell you the story, there were only 20 communities. We said if you want to be a pro-housing community, you have to have growth targets. Now, they're not a lot. It wasn't even that high, but we just wanted to just like be on a trajectory to build more housing and to break down barriers and speed up the process and just do what it takes so parents who want to have their grandkids grow up in the same community, you know, don't have to say goodbye to them and send them off to another state, as has been happening. My grandkids live in another state. Go figure. I got to get them back home. Or people want to downsize. They love their community, but they don't need the big house because the kids are gone. You know, can they still live in their communities? Or the young people just say, I went to school around here. It's a great area. I want to live here now, but there's just not enough housing. And so what we had to do is have a plan, and only 20 communities stepped up at first. I was like, okay, everybody else. The first year we did it was $650 million for 20 communities. Okay, do you all want a part of this or not? Now we have 400 communities that have said yes, because I said, you're missing out on a good game here. So that's for DRIs. You successfully won a DRI here, Downtown Revitalization Initiative, or the New York Forward initiatives for smaller communities, or Restore New York, or Main Street New York, and money for sewers. We bundled all the discretionary money together that we used to just give out to others and said, you can have it if you're a pro-housing community. That's how you start driving change, okay? Perhaps reluctantly at first, but now they're starting to see the value of this. And so that's what I'm excited about. But more than any other community, New Rochelle embodies the whole pro-housing ethos. And I want to say, you know, you build consensus, you know, you get the shovels in the ground, and the results speak for themselves. And what is so exciting, since 2020, this community has built more than 4,500 new homes. 4,500 in one community. And the population's only about, 88,000 or so? I mean, you're really punching above your weight here. And there was a time back in 2016, 2017, where you issued about 39 housing permits a year. And now it's over 1,000. So look at that jump. And that's why this place has become so desirable. But you know what the best part of this? I've been saying this for 4 straight years. You build more supply, the prices will go down, right? Supply and demand, economics 101, which I didn't even take. I just knew this without even taking the class, right? I didn't even need to take a class. You build more supply, the prices go down. The average rent in this community has dropped by 3 to 5%. So look at the national trends or the statewide trends. The rents are going up exponentially, nationwide up about 31%. It's dropping here in New Rochelle because they had the ambition to keep building. So let's give another round of applause to New Rochelle for leading the charge. And that's money back in people's pockets. And so thank you for showing us the way. And I want to make sure that you get out all over and talk about this. And you haven't changed your character. You've enriched your story. You've enriched your character in your downtown, the vibrancy and the investments that you've made. You're deploying that to help small businesses on Main Streets. It's a brilliant strategy. But our work is far from done, and too many projects are stuck in regulatory hell, and it is hell. I spent 14 years on a local council, and I cannot tell you how many projects that we wanted to see, but then people would say, Oh, but you didn't do this part of the seeker review or the draft DEIS and the preliminary DEIS, and you have to do this and you have to do this. And then there was always the NIMBY crowd that would take an element of that and say, well, you didn't quite do this, and then let's go to court for 4 more years. There were so many ways to kill projects. I watched this from a front row where we just wanted to just make things happen in my community, and it was almost impossible. So projects that communities want, okay, this is not saying you have to do this, but if there's a community wants a project and it's housing, primarily housing or some clean energy or critical infrastructure, new child care centers, I mean, we can unlock all of that. So what I'm saying is we can drive change by lifting the barriers, because the seeker laws that have been in place since 1975 have not changed in 50 years, and they've not caught up with what we need to do now. Now, when they were put in place, probably important. I mean, I grew up in a very heavily polluted, toxic area not far from Love Canal, and I watched Lake Erie become polluted. I thought the sky was supposed to be orange because, seriously, like, that skies were orange. The smokestacks were just billowing all this smoke out, and no one said a word. You know why? Because it was 20,000 jobs. Dad worked there, Grandpa worked there, my uncles worked there. That was living in Buffalo. And so, but no one said anything, but I'm still surprised I'm alive. You think about the exposure, and the health effects, and now we're much more educated. So, okay, back then we put these in place, but maybe it's gone too far now. Maybe we should realize that the local community is doing the same review. They're looking at the water and the sewer and the permits. They're doing all this already. And then we're layering on top of that, okay, now you need to do 2 more years of review on average for seeker review to come to the same results, right? It doesn't make sense. And when I found out, when I was speaking about this with the mayor in New York City a few days ago, I don't know what it'd be here, but the average apartment being built in New York City, add on per apartment, not building, per apartment, $82,000 more to cover the cost of what the state requires under seeker review, the delays in time and all the burdensome studies they have to do. So we can shave off that cost as well. Look at that as being a factor in driving down the cost of an apartment. So I want to get this done. I want to modernize our permitting systems so they're not duplicative, and help local governments just navigate the process. Now, like I said, we're not rolling back environmental protections. I'm a staunch environmentalist. I truly am. It's who I am, coming from where I came from. But we're not eliminating local approval. This is up to you. But if you want it, when you say yes to housing, that won't hurt the environment, the state is going to get out of the way and let you build. You've waited too long, and other communities need to know, whether it's housing, infrastructure. It's about connecting. You know, we're going to build, we're going to connect people with opportunity, connect communities. But back in the 1960s, and 50s and 60s, when we talk about connections, there were a lot of cities across America, but I can point to so many examples here in New York where people intentionally separated black and brown communities from white communities. It was an intentional form of racism through infrastructure. And they made room for superhighways, but why did they drive it through that neighborhood? Why did it have to be that neighborhood? Because people did not have a political voice at the time. I read about this in Buffalo. We're trying to reconnect a community that was severed by something known as the Kensington Expressway. Crystal Peoples-Stokes has been a big driver of this. And there was no reason to do it, and I read an article back then, and they basically said that the white power downtown wanted to make this happen so people can get out of the city faster and start developing the suburbs, right? The white flight of the 1960s. It was real, and it was government-sanctioned racism at the time when they were building these highways. And so, New Rochelle's Lincoln Park neighborhoods, they razed entire streets, kicked people out of their homes, and bulldozed businesses. And they erased a shared history, their identity that was at the center of so many lives. Now, we can't undo that generational harm that was caused to those families. But we can step up now. We can say we can right the wrongs of the past and stitch these neighborhoods back together. We can build a strong, vibrant community where people are proud to live, raise their kids, build businesses for the next 100 years, together, connected. And that's why today I'm so proud to announce $16 million in additional state funding to help reconnect Lincoln Park with downtown New Rochelle. Let's do that. $16 million. Let's bring it back together. Thank you. This will support, give the mayor a tissue. This is what I love to see in elected officials, passion and heart. Passion and heart, a love of a community that is so profound. Beautiful. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, this will support the Link project and the ongoing transformation of Memorial Highway into walkable streetscape. It'll have pedestrian crossings, bike lanes, parks, and new recreation spaces, and of course, housing. We're going to be supporting over 11,000 approved housing projects with this. Isn't that extraordinary? Unlock 1,500 additional homes. My friends, it's a whole new era. A whole new era is opening up here, and this highway will no longer block out the sun, and car fumes will no longer spew into homes, and the sounds of speeding cars will no longer ring in people's ears. Today's announcement is part of a bigger mission to reconnect communities of color that were carved up by these highways so long ago. The Interloop in Rochester, the Livingston Bridge in Albany we're working on right now, the I-81 in Syracuse. I was a student at Syracuse University, and I didn't understand why there was this highway that literally cut off the campus from the city. And I'd come back all these years later as governor, and I say, we're reconnecting people and building homes in that place. And so people in the future will say, yeah, they sure screwed up a long time ago, but the people in this era found out and fixed it. And so I'm really proud to be part of that. The Cross Bronx Expressway, reconnecting these communities. We're refusing to wait any longer, and we're sending a message that your lives matter. These communities matter. These neighborhoods matter. And we'll do anything in our power to make sure they can be the very best they can be. So let me wrap up by saying this. This is much more than reconstructing some roads or building homes. It's about healing a city. It's about healing a city and putting out a path forward that talks about, eliminating what was a shadow over a community for decades, this highway. And it'll resonate for generations to come. The kids born now will never know. Will never know what that was like. And it'll change how your grandkids are going to travel around New Rochelle and the people they interact with and the opportunities that they'll have and the air they'll breathe and the homes they'll live in. And I look forward to continuing to partner with leaders like we have here in our extraordinary mayor. She stepped in. I was very good friends with your former mayor as well. Noam here? Noam's here. How I know? All right. Well, Noam Branson. Well, I used to walk around. Thank God we have you, Mayor. We had to No, stand up, Noam. Noam helped launch a lot of this. You truly launched so much of this, Mayor, and I spent a lot of time with you in the city, and you truly loved your community, and so you really put us on a trajectory that we can stand on your shoulders today, and I thank you and honor that as well, so I'm so glad you're here. And I look forward to continuing to partner with the leaders of this community to build and give you what you deserve and have waited for a long time. So with that, let me welcome up your mayor, Ramos Herbert.
Ooh, oh goodness. New Rochelle. New Rochelle. Of the 62 counties, 62 cities, and nearly 1,500 towns and villages across this great state, the governor of New York is in our county, in our city, in our house of the Boys and Girls Club. New Rochelle? Governor Hochul, thank you so much for being here, and thank you, seriously. It's a project very dear to my heart for restoring the critical $16 million that the Link project needs to move forward. You probably don't remember this, and you shouldn't, but I actually first saw you in person in New Rochelle when you were lieutenant governor. I was a council member-elect serving on the planning committee for the DRI. And you came to New Rochelle under the leadership of Mayor Noam Branson, of course, at the time, where we unveiled our plans. And the heart of the DRI was that link. As you noted, in the 1960s, a highway cut through our historically Black neighborhood, removing homes, displacing businesses, and dividing the community. With the DRI serving as our foundation, we were working to right that wrong. When the Trump administration rescinded $16 million towards the link, it was indeed a setback, but it didn't shake New Row's resolve. We kept planning, we kept moving, we kept believing. And today, because of your leadership, Governor, we're back on track to transform 6 lanes of a highway into a vibrant, connected public park, restoring walkability, creating green space, and unlocking economic opportunity. It's going to create $82 million in economic activity and create 400 jobs. We can clap for that. And beyond the link, today you saw the momentum of our beautiful city, a preview of the more than 11,000 homes that New Rochelle has authorized, and the affordable condos. You literally are seeing them rise above Main Street, offering economic opportunity to families to close that generational wealth gap, expanding opportunities for people to call New Rochelle home. Your investment is a once-in-a-generation investment in healing and growth. Your funding doesn't just move a project forward, it moves our community forward. And when we cut the ribbon for the link, it will stand as proof that New Rochelle does not give up, and that the governor of New York showed up when we needed her most. So Governor Hochul, on behalf of my fabulous city council colleagues who are seated over here, our city manager, Wilfredo Melendez, our professional staff, our 85,000 residents, a number growing every day, we look forward to welcoming you back to New Rochelle for the groundbreaking of the link. Thank you for believing in us. And I now have the privilege of introducing our Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
So, good morning, New Rochelle. Oh, I think you all should be a little happier than that. Come on now. So, these are the kinds of moments that I think everybody lives for in government, in communities, where you see that there is opportunity, whether it's economic opportunity, job opportunity, housing opportunity, collaborative opportunity, where people can come forward, step up, do what has to be done in order to move a project forward. And to be right here, I think, hopefully, reignites people's faith in government. You know, when you see a governor who will come with the legislature, and let me shout out my legislators, because you know this is Senator Mayer's district. Thank you, Senator Mayer. Good partner. I was here for the DRI part, and then passed the baton to her, and of course Steve Otis, who this is your district as well, right? Congratulations! Yay. And Assemblymember Sage and Assemblymember Shimsky, thank you for being here. I say, well, my county legislators. Okay, I'm not gonna. We'll let the county do the county. Okay, because otherwise we'll just be doing this. But I say that because so many times in government, and you will hear from my good friend George, the executive is in disagreement with the legislature, and there's the fight, and what are the priorities, and where do we invest our time and our energy. Even when we were talking about the housing, you know, it got off to a rough start because the governor had rightfully a vision, and the legislature had a vision as well. And so the thing is, how do we make both of our visions, which was for more housing, you know, compatible? And how do we do the work? And yes, the carrots, we needed more carrots. But we got there because there was never, ever, ever any doubt that this was a priority for both the executive as well as the legislature. and with talented staff. Thank you, Ruth Ann, because poor Ruth Ann, you have no idea. We think, oh, you could do this, and we give it to you, and then, you know, you got to figure out how to do this, which you do. But the remarkable energy and synergy that goes into making sure that the money is there, the resources is there, that the momentum is there, is what every single one of us do every single day. And that's why I say with this governor, we get to row in the same direction and we have results. And I know when you came to me, you know, these tears are real, because she's like, yeah, the government walked away. You know, it's DEI. You know, why correct history that we're deciding does not exist? You know, this is not a real thing, so why are we correcting it? You know, I stood there with Senator Schumer back in, you know, you were there, the county executive. We were there, and it was like, oh, great, because this has happened, as the governor says, all over the country. You know, every single place where they could divide and just marginalize black people, brown people, poor people, it happened all over the country. And now we have city after city who have consciousness enough to say, not only is this a legacy that we don't want to own anymore and we don't want to promote anymore, but it is devaluing everything by not allowing community to be part and parcel of a whole and grow together. And when we finally get to this consciousness, we get, again, a new administration that decides that that is not anywhere where we want to put our resources because it's just not important. I'm so happy to be in New York. I'm so happy to be a leader in New York. I am so happy to lead with leaders in New York who understand our capacity to continue even when they say no. Because the vision is bigger, and we will not be dwarfed by small understandings of what it is that we ought to be doing as human beings and as government. That being said, I'm going to introduce my poor friend, George Latimer, who still represents us very, very well in a place that is foreign to him, because he's always been a partner in collaboration and an inspiration, frankly, in terms of bringing community together and finding a way forward. You are in the wilderness now, but as I say, and I will say to this very conscientious and astute group of people, who sits in these seats matter. Yes. If you didn't know, now you know. Yes. Who sits in these seats matter. We're going to bring George some company that will restore your ability to do the work. George Latimer.
Thank you very much, Madam Leader. It's interesting because there's two stories here, and the exciting story that you've heard both the governor and the mayor talk about, now the state Senate Majority Leader, is what leadership and partnership can create. But there's another story which Andrea touched on, which I want to touch on too. But Andrea, when you say you're glad to be in New York, nobody in this county is happier to be in New York than I am. Nobody. We're in walking distance from the Amtrak station, and I get on a 10:45 train on Monday mornings, and I leave an area where I see gubernatorial leadership from Kathy Hochul, with the support of Andrea and Shelley, Steve and Nader and Mary Jane. We're on first name basis in both houses of the state legislature, where Ken Jenkins and his executive team that's here is running a county government Not all county governments in New York are as cooperative, but this one is, because this county government under Ken's leadership with this governor can achieve things. And I see members of this city council, and I was a councilman when I did all these jobs. I was a councilman once too, and I know Sarah and David and Martha and Shane and Matt by first name basis, because that's what I see in New York. Partnership, leadership that attacks the problems that exist. And in New Rochelle and in other press conferences, I've been with Ruth Ann at how many press conferences in how many other cities in Westchester County where you've seen the same level of cooperation between your local government, your county government, your state legislators, and the leader of this state government that are showing progress and advancement. And that makes me feel good. When I get on the NAACP New Rochelle call once a month, and Aisha is running that, when I run into my colleagues like Mark McLean at the Interreligious Council, I feel that cooperation that exists in this city, in this county, and in this state. That's today's main story. But there's a second story. You needed this money from the state because this federal administration and this federal leadership of both houses of Congress have abandoned America's greatest needs. They've lost themselves in ideology. They wrap themselves in rhetoric. They're prepared to do violence on the streets of the city as opposed to help build up a city, which is exactly what you're doing here, Madam Mayor, in the city of New Rochelle. Now, this moment is a celebratory moment, and it becomes a role model moment, the New Rochelle moment, so that when we look at the other moments that this federal administration is operating, that we offer the people of this country, not just of this city, this town, or this state, we offer people two visions. Do you want this kind of a city where you're breaking down barriers and bringing people together, or do you want that kind of a city where you pepper spray people who come out to properly protest? That's your choice, America. We've decided in New Rochelle, in Westchester County, and in the state of New York, this is what we want to see. This is why you go to the state senate and drive to Albany. This is why you come to council meetings and see people come and talk to you, or go to White Plains as county, so you can build up your community. You can be proud of it. And like Noam, when he and I are alumni of a particular level of government, we can still look with pride at those governments, not just because of what we did, but because of what the people after us. And what we have to decide in America is, do we want that, not just for New Rochelle, but do we want that for Scranton? Do we want that for Fort Worth? Do we want that for Santa Clara? Do we want that for Pensacola? Or are we pleased to see some people under the leadership of a dynamic governor move forward and other people be left behind? And I hope when we have the opportunity to make that choice, we make the right choice so that we have more moments like this and less moments like the one we've seen on television over the last few weeks. We have a dynamic county executive in this county. And I know the governor has to worry about whole 62 counties. Everyone is her favorite county when she's in that county. And when I go to the Bronx, I gotta give, the Bronx its proper street cred, since I have two counties to worry about. But I think, having seen the counties, I don't know that there is a better-led county government and a county government more committed to the same goals, Governor, that you're committed to, and of the size and resources as Westchester County, led by my friend and your leader, County Executive Ken Jenkins.
All right, so first, good morning, New Rochelle. Wait, you're right, you could do it better, right? So, good morning, New Rochelle. It is certainly an honor and a privilege to be here with you this morning with our great governor. Let's give it up one more time for our great governor of the state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul. First we want to start by thanking Governor Hochul. Governor Hochul, you could go into so many other places, but you decided to come here to New Row, right? And to make sure that we were continuing to announce letting them build and the continued work that you continue to have, your leadership, your commitment, not just to everything around housing, around affordability is magnanimous. Let's give it up one more time for our Governor, Kathy Hochul. And we already heard this story. So when the federal funding got pulled back, Mayor Yadira Ramos-Herbert and her team didn't just say, oh, we can't do this. got to work making sure to talk to everyone possible to let them know how horrific that was. And when you have a federal government partner, and let's keep, we have to have prayers for George as well for the going down in federal government. But instead of just stepping back, you moved forward. And you could have made it clear, Governor, that New York State wasn't going to leave a hole here in New Rochelle, that you were going to make sure to move forward. So on behalf of our county, Westchester County, we are extremely grateful for everything that you do and continue to do for all of us here in Westchester, especially around housing. So give it up one more time for our governor. As we know here in Westchester, the partnerships, the relationships, the secret text chains that all of us have, right, to be able to do things so well, trust me, it's a secret text chain. It's not Signal, but something else, right? But we want to thank our partners, first, my senator, the leader of the New York State Senate, Andre Stewart Cousins, and all of our senators that are here with us, Shelley, that's here, the only other senator that's here with us, Shelley Mayer, and our assembly partners, Steve Otis, Nada Sage, Mary Jane Shimsky, for the continued work in their partnership, and Mayor Yadira Ramos-Herbert for her consistency. Yeah, come on, give it up for the mayor, right? Her collaboration. I don't know, you saw her virtual YouTube over the weekend, on the Mayor's Council when she was talking about housing, and she was talking about this project, and she was talking about the Robert Moses project that broke up communities, and not just ours here in New Rochelle, but so many other places, and continued to say, she used a different word, I'm not going to use it today, because we're streaming right now, but you have never, ever wavered in your commitment and focus, and again, we really, really have to say thank you one more time to our Mayor, Yadira Ramos-Herbert, for holding it down every time. And you should understand that heart on the sleeve, the tears are real, right? Right? And the work, especially during this Black History Month. I mean, when you think about the kind of things during Black History Month, it's especially meaningful at a time when we celebrate the achievements and the accomplishments and contributions to the African American community. It's also a time that we have to continue to remind ourselves and acknowledge the historical wrongs and policy decisions that got us to this particular position, and to the governor's leadership to say, how do we continue to not acknowledge only, but fix it? And that's the kind of things that is done here with the Link Project. It's about repairing that division that dates back for decades. And now we're taking these meaningful steps today to continue to move forward with a project that will bring people together. It's been shaped by years of community involvement. So many people that were involved. Give a shout out to Noam Bramson, but all the council members beforehand, city managers before that, all those things that happened, but more importantly, the community and the voices of the community that continue to be heard. Governor Hochul, your leadership continues to send that strong message that New York stands with communities that were historically disadvantaged, marginalized, even when that federal support falls short. Westchester County is proud to stand along you, Governor Hochul, with the great city of Queen City on the Sound here in New Rochelle, right? And try to get some different purple colors going on as you try to achieve this reality. Yet we don't do this alone, as Congressman Lattimer pointed out. Our team is here, Deputy County Executive Joan McDonald, and all of the team, the Vice Chair of the Board of Legislators, Terry Clemens, and the Majority Leader, Judah Holstein. New Rochelle has got much leadership here. Oh wait, the Director of Operations is here as well, Emily Saltzman, Lala Curtin, and we have the whole crew here, Steve Bass. But that's the partnership, that's the leadership, and that's how we're able to move these things forward together. Whenever we go around this state, and George, we're the favorite everywhere we go. Because we're Westchester, right? We continue to do that. But the reality is that this work continues because whenever Ruth Ann's in the house, it's a party, right? And we are able to make sure that things move forward. So we continue to say thank you, Governor Hochul, for your tremendous leadership. Thank you for all of our state partners, our local partners, and we are going to continue to move this program forward together. Thanks, everybody. We are so happy you came out to be with us this morning, and we have so much more things to do, but we have the greatest governor in our United States that continues to do that work. One more shout out for our governor, Kathy Hochul. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That concludes our speaking program.